Hello everyone, my name is Emmer and I'm making this video on the behalf of my class called Criminology and Justice. So basically we had 4 different modules and we have to choose one. So I chose the topic called Hardening of the Attitudes, American Views on Death Penalty. So basically, first of all, I'll talk about all the data that was available on the article, that how American people think and what are the rules and regulations that are being part of the American law. So if we look upon a bit of the history and how it works there, it's more like since 1966, the American support for the death penalty has been increased. And if you see from the last 20 years, it tends to confirm the hypothesis that most penalty attitudes, like both pros and cons, are based on emotions rather than the information or the rational argument. Not only this, the death penalty has become an increasingly prominent issue in political affairs as well. And if you see the appendix, it's more like appendix support for capital punishment declined through 1950, but in 1966 it was increased. But from 1966 to 1985, There was an increase, which means the people in United States supporting the death penalty was increasing rapidly. And from the gender perspective, it has shown that the male have more favored the death penalty comparing to the woman. And in this uh, in this research, it shows that the white people were more in favor of death penalty comparing to the black ones. And from the percentage perspective, you can say from 58% to 75% there was an increase that people supporting the death penalty. So this was more like the basic information that how it's taken in US. Still many people, they do support the death penalty because they believe that the crime rate would be come down if the death penalty is still part of the government, still part of the law, which is not true. Talking on the basis of facts and figures, that's what the report shows. Even from the country Canada, they believe when the death penalty was part of their system, the crime rate was increasing, it was not decreasing. But when the death penalty was not part of their law, that the crime rate was stopped. So it's inverse. But in most of the people in US, they do believe that it's the opposite. If there's death penalty in the country, so the crime rate would be less, which is not true. Not only this, in 1974 a research survey was done in California, and it shows that 93% agreed that the death penalty is more effective than life imprisonment. But if there's not even one evidence from any country that shows that the death penalty is really effective comparing to any other punishment, because actually this never happened. Like none of the countries, they have a strong evidence on this, that they they implemented the death penalty and the crime rate is low. But it's the opposite, it's a bit higher. And not only this, from my own perspective, collecting the data and all the information, I believe that death penalty shouldn't be the part of the law system, because at the end of the day, we all do mistakes. Sometimes it's more like in the heat of emotions, sometimes it's more like you're immature, or many other reasons. And what's the point? At the end of the day, laws, rules and regulation, they are made for the betterment of the society or of a country. So what's the point of putting up a law which is not being helpful for the people, even though on the other end it's increasing the crime rate? I'll give the example of my own country, Pakistan. Like when someone, of course the death penalty is legal here. So when death penalty is given to someone, the loved one of those people, they are really after the police. And there are many cases that they have killed so many policemen just in the heat of emotion, that why you gave the death penalty to our people. So basically, I am not really in a favor of death penalty, because I believe everyone does mistake and there's always a chance that people can change. But what's the point if you are already killing someone? There is no alternate. And there are many other examples in many countries that the person who was killed by calling death penalty was not the criminal, but it was too late, because the person is always was already dead. Because every life matters. So it's not like just you can give death penalty, and after you got to know the person didn't commit the crime. So just wrapping it up, I believe that death penalty shouldn't be the part of the system, because there are many other things that can be done for the person who committed a crime. For example, a number of recent polls indicate people believe other measures as like job training or drug rehabilitation programs are more effective than capital punishment in reducing crime. So if I talk about the conclusion, it's more like support for the death penalty in US, it's still higher, and Americans who favor capital punishment are have high level of emotions involved. So basically they don't look upon the facts and figures, and they just because too much emotions are involved, so they want the capital punishment to part of their law. And they believe when crime goes up, people look for harsh punishment to bring the back down, which is not true, because when you give harsh punishment, it is a possibility that the crime rate will go higher rather than coming down. And many studies have shown that people who victimize themselves or who fear for their personal safety are not in favor of death penalty. So basically, just wrapping it up, and there's one more research which shows that if there's one emotion that mediates between crime and the support for the death penalty, is frustration rather than the fear. So I think that's all from my side. I believe that penalty shouldn't be the part of the law and everything, because at the end of the day, we all are here to make this world a better place for everyone. So if it's not affecting, even though the crime rate is getting higher and it's spreading more hate in the country or people, so what's the point of implementing a law? Yeah, that's all from my side. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.